So, I get asked this question by a lot of people. I'm looking at you, Drowning Soul, and Aaron Crook. Are you a crook? Are you going to go rob a bank or something? Huh? Oh wait, he's American. He might have some guns or stuff like that. Because they're Ableton users, and I, as you might guess, I use FL Studio. Why? Why do I use FL Studio? What is it that I love about FL Studio, and why don't I try Ableton? Now, before I start this video, I want to clarify. I will eventually get Ableton too. Not as a main DAW, but I will learn it because learning multiple DAWs is beneficial. So, and I like Ableton. I don't hate it. I don't love it like FL, but I do consider it like a very good DAW, just like FL Studio. In my opinion, FL is better, but that's just my humble opinion. In this video, I'll list out a few things that I absolutely love about FL Studio and some things that I absolutely hate about FL Studio. Keep in mind, I'm a heavy FL user, as you can tell by looking at me, can you? There won't be many things that I hate about FL Studio, but I will try to be fair, just point out things that I truly do believe that it could be improved in FL Studio because I want this DAW to be better. Because I love making music on this. Let's just jump into the video. We're here in FL Studio. This is a remix that I'm working on. You don't need to know anything about this at the moment, but it's a remix. It's for a contest. Anyway, the first thing that I'm going to say is that I absolutely love about FL Studio is the way you make music in FL Studio. Most DAWs out there are linear DAWs. By that, I mean you just write your music and instrumentation on one page and you have just one steady page where you work. You don't have like multiple windows. You don't like, here in FL, if I write chords, like I have to go to the piano roll, write whatever chords or melodies, whatever this is, and then that will appear here in this windows right here or in this thing, and I can choose and I can place them wherever. I love this. I don't know why. It's kind of like, it gives me the feeling of like a sandbox game like Minecraft. I absolutely love that. I don't know why. I just love it. But I know a lot of people hate it because of like how weird it is. I don't understand that necessarily because I personally find this workflow better than any other types of workflow, at least in my humble opinion. So yeah, that's number one. Number two, this is more for like a newer versions of FL Studio, but the way that FL implements audio. Now, if you're looking at this project file, you can see like a lot of audios are colored differently. And this is not just visually different, this actually has a meaning. Like for example, this kick right here, it's red and it's whitish. That means it's low frequencies. This is the snare right here. You can see it's like a bit yellowish oranges and it's blue. So basically right here it's like mid-high is mid-range and right here it's like pure high end. And this is such a good update in my opinion because it makes mixing vocals for me very easy. Like, in my vocal mixing, I usually like try to cut out all the like harsh wordness that need to be lowered. I put a de-esser, of course, but to make it better, I just go in and do a lot of things manually. In my opinion, works better. This makes it way easier. Like I can just look at a vocal, for example, this vocals right here. Like I can see a vocal and I can already tell like this is gonna be maybe an S or like some high range thing. Let's play and see. Said I'm no good. See, it's an S. And I can tell like right here it's gonna be another high and harsh frequency thing. I still need to mix this, by the way, so don't judge it. I love this so much. Okay. And another thing in audio as well, a lot of producers, me included, in the older versions, we used to hate the fact that all other DAWs had these things. These things that you can curve out samples the way wherever you were. In FL, originally used to do that here in and out. But this is inconvenient. It's not the same. They, in one of the updates, when FL Studio 21 came out, I believe, they added these things. And these were a life changer. They added this ball right here too. And you can change volume from right here. I don't even need to open the sample. It makes your life so much easier, in my opinion. And that's another thing that I absolutely love about FL Studio. Let's move on to the next thing. Plugins. Now, for any of you guys that are music producers or are in the music community, you would know that Ableton has a really good reputation of having the best mixing plugins and best plugins overall. I agree. A lot of the things that, Ableton has a lot of good plugins. I used Ableton for a little bit, but I feel like FL Studio gives you like a lot of options too. If I, click, right, what the fuck? Whoa, the power went out. Okay, we're back. The power just went out before. Where was I? Plugins. I think we were talking about plugins. So, FL Studio gets recognized for plugins like Harmor or Harmless. Those are cool, of course. Those are really good. And, you usually hear people say that mixing plugins are better in Ableton. Sure, that's true. That's fair. I give it to them. Ableton has really good mixing plugins. But I do feel like FL Studio has more variety and more plugins oriented towards like vocal. I do feel like FL Studio's audio plugins do get undermined because you can do a lot of things in FL Studio. For example, this vocal. I don't like the way it's timed. I wanna warp it. I just click this thing here. This menu opens, and then I can just click time warp. I can put like markers here, and what this is just like your warping tool that you have in Ableton. Like for example, need the surface, baby, need the surface. I can warp any audio the way I want it to. Next thing that I can do, let's say I want to pitch correct the sample. Well, I just open up a menu again on the vocals, and then I press pitch correct the sample. Opens up this NuTone. Now NuTone is basically Melodyne, but for FL Studio. It's kind of like the one that Logic Pro has for, I don't know, maybe it's like a bit different. I don't know. We have this stock in FL Studio with like, if you buy I think the signature bundle, you will get these plugins with FL Studio and you don't need to buy anything else. Another thing that I love about FL Studio is the way you move around and the tool. By tools, I mean, I have a pen tool. I can paste anything. I right click to delete things, like this. And then if I double right click, I have this mute thing. I can mute anything like that. And then if I want to like use other tools like cut or anything, I can just like right click, scroll up and down to select whatever I like. I can use this, preview samples, preview anything. And in terms of movability, like, you can obviously do this, every DAW can do this. You can zoom out, zoom in, zoom like this and like this. Any DAW you can do this. But let's say you're working on like hi-hats, like this. I got hi-hats. I'm making like hi-hats like this or whatever. And you want to go next, but without zooming out. Well, in FL Studio, if you click scroll button, middle mouse, you can just grab the screen and move it like this. It's awesome. Like when I first found out about it, I was like, whoa, it was incredible. Like, why don't more DAWs have this? I don't know if other DAWs have this, because when I used Ableton, I didn't find this at all. So yeah, call me dumb, but I didn't see this in Ableton. Another thing that I like about FL Studio is automations. Hold your guns, hold your tomatoes. I know people hate automations in FL Studio. I don't know why, but they do. But in my opinion, FL has the best automations because one, they're not integrated into the tracks like there are in most DAWs like Ableton. I'm calling out Ableton, by the way, not because I despise Ableton, but mainly because it's the only other actual DAW that I used. So I can only talk about Ableton like it's the only other DAW that I tried. Like in Ableton, you just click A and you can like open up automations and you can do, whatever you link your automations to do. In FL, on the other hand, to create an automation in FL Studio, it's kind of like this. Let's say I want to automate this delay mix. I would like just right click and create automation clip. And then, you do whatever you want with it. I know it's kind of like not the most intuitive thing ever, but I feel like you can do way more things in FL with automations and they're better implemented. For example, this curve that I'm doing right here for this automation, in Ableton, I couldn't figure out how to do this. I don't know why. And like, in FL, you can just do it like this. Let's say like this. I don't like it anymore. Right click and it goes to the default position. And this you can do only in FL, I believe. I don't know any other DAWs you can do this, but you can actually open up your automations and you can like actually automate the automations. Like I want to automate the LFO. I can just click LFO and I can automate these things like speed, the intensity and whatever, all of these knobs that are automatable. The final thing that I absolutely love about FL Studio is like the zero limitations it has. Like, since it's kind of like a modular DAW, you can do, you have to link stuff and stuff, you know, like mixer channels, you have to kind of link them to things. And like for this, I have to link this for like side chaining purposes. You can do so much. You can like, I can link like my tempo to an LFO tool. Anything that I can right click and create an automation of, I can link to anything in FL Studio. There's no limit. I can break the DAW. And that is one of the things that I absolutely love about FL Studio. Oh, actually, I have another thing that I absolutely love about FL Studio. The piano roll. Now this I kind of keep it, I'm gonna keep it at minimal because everybody knows the piano roll. FL Studio, you know, you can do this, you can do anything in FL Studio's piano roll. It's the best piano roll in the market, I believe. Don't quote me on that, of course. Those are the things that I absolutely love about FL Studio. Now, let's move on to the darker side. The things that I don't like about FL Studio. There aren't gonna be many, but there are. Number one, the fact that FL Studio only has 500 tracks. Now, this is not that big of a deal for me because I never reach over 120 tracks. But the thing is, they have like 500 tracks, right? But FL only gives you 125 mixer channels. I don't understand it. Why? This is one of the things that makes me so disappointed. It's just like, why? Why don't you just give me 500 mixer channels? Maybe even a 200. Like, why 120? They're not enough already. This project file is like basically maybe 50% done, and I'm already at like 40 mixer channels. Sure, it's very rare that I fill them up. Sure, I get that. But why not give me more? I can use more. I just don't understand it. While we're on this subject as well, on the mixer channel, here's another thing. The mixer effects. We in FL Studio only get 10 effects. We cannot go higher. If I want to go higher, I need to link this mixer channel to another mixer channel, and then I can have another 10. Again, the same complaint that I had before. If I only have 125 mixer tracks, if I do so much sound design on one sound where I use up like 5 different mixers, then I only have 120 mixers left. Like, what am I going to do? And you know, that's just giving like a very harsh example, but still, it's one of the things that drives me crazy in FL. Is I don't understand it. Next thing that I don't like about FL Studio. I don't know if this is an FL Studio thing or my PC thing, but sometimes, let's say I'm playing this build up, right? The build up is playing and I just start clicking export. For some reason, FL Studio, sometimes, it's very rare, but it happens, forgets some automations. You know, it plays them wrong. It kind of forgets things. And this happens with Kontakt too. Like, I had a guitar in a song where it stopped doing the whole like the thing that guitars do, you know, the chugs, I think they're called. It just didn't work correctly and it didn't load correctly, and that's happened. It, again, not to blame, not to say that it's very common. It's very rare that happens, but it does happen, and it's very frustrating because I master it in a different project file. Let's say I basically have like a very massive project file. It takes like time to open the project file, to export, and then to go in a different project file. It takes it takes around like 10 minutes sometimes just to do that process. So it's very frustrating to me that FL does that, but you know, we'll live and learn, I guess. Another thing that I absolutely hate about FL Studio, now this is kind of personal for me, is the way that FL Studio handles stems. It's so frustrating to do stems. So there are 2 ways that you can stem out songs. You can either, you know, just click export and you know, select the option called render all mixer channel, I think it's called. Let me check. Now, I don't know if it's going to appear on the screen, but yeah, it's called split mixer tracks. And what this does is you basically have to have everything in your mixer channel, and mixer channels will be rendered one by one in a project file. It's very quick and it's very easy. But the problem with that is it renders out the current version, which is this mixer channel right here, this big one, massive one. This is a mixer channel too, by the way. It appeared, you can see that, and then the master track. So it gives you 2 master tracks, and it gives you all the mixer channels separately, and the groups, everything together. So basically what I have to do is like, if I do that rendering, open up another project file, check everything, you know, delete stuff that I don't need to send to my collaborators or companies or whatever, and then re-export the stems, delete the current and the master version, and then send it off. It's such a hassle. Now, there is another way to render out in FL Studio, and that is by rendering out every playlist track, which you can do by clicking File, Export, Export all playlist tracks. Now, the problem with that is, it takes a long time. It takes a really fucking long time. And by a long time, I don't mean like maybe like 30 minutes. It can take up to like 5 hours. Like 5 or 6 hours just to render every single track out. It's very slow. It's very annoying. And none of them are intuitive. I absolutely don't like those, the way that FL handles stems. Now, from a friend of mine that uses Ableton, he did say that Ableton isn't no better with stems. I don't know. I never rendered out stems in Ableton. I just got Ableton stems and they're always massive because I require separate stems to do my mixing and stuff. But they're massive. It can take time to group them in the way that I deem necessary and whatever. You know, it takes time. I can't say that Ableton has bad stem. And yeah, I think that's about it for my FL Studio complaints and love. If you guys have other opinions, or if you guys use FL Studio as well and you maybe you know about other features in FL that you guys love, feel free to tell me about them in the comments. And my fellow Ableton users, I know I'm not an Ableton user. I don't plan to be an Ableton user, like fully Ableton user. I'm talking to you, Drowning Soul. Don't look at me with those dagger eyes. I know you love Ableton, but I don't. But I will be open-minded and will use it as a secondary DAW in the future, whenever I can afford it. Anyway, that was the video rant that I did. Whatever this video is, I don't really know. I hope you enjoyed. If you found this interesting and you would like to see more content like this, subscribe and hit the notification bell. Oh, and if you're looking for mixing and mastering done or vocal mixing done, you can contact me on SoundBetter. I hope to see you in the next video. Peace.